Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back. Another episode, another story, another rider. Today we've got Lawrence in the car. He's an entrepreneur. He's got his own drinks company and he's an avid runner, even though he's had some knee problems. And he's a PlayStation guy. For those who love PlayStation, I don't know whether it's Call of Duty or
FIFA, mate.
FIFA. He's a FIFA man. Well,
Big football fan.
Nice to have you here today, Lawrence. So tell us about your company, how it started, what motivates you.
Yeah, hey man. So me and my business partner Nick, I helped him open a gin bar down on Bermondsey Street, southeast London, in 2013. We got all these amazing gins in from all over the globe. You know, it was right at the boom level, you know, when all this craft gin was coming out and stuff. And we got this incredible collection of gins in, and then got the availability of mixers, and it just didn't match up. You know, craft gin was really exciting. There was loads of cool stuff going on, distillers using exciting methods and doing cool things, and the mixers just weren't quite up to that level. So we decided we wanted to make something primarily just for the bar, really.
When you say mixers, are you talking actual people?
I'm talking tonic waters, lemonades, that sort of stuff. We wanted a tonic primarily just for the bar that we would be proud to serve with the gins that we had. So we made our own tonic using raw natural ingredients rather than extracts or chemical ingredients, and just served it at the bar for a few years. And then that started to snowball. The more people tasted it and the more people came in, and we kind of thought, let's give it a go and see if we can take it outside of those four walls to other people's bars and restaurants and stuff. So you're saying alcohol's got chemicals in? Nah, so, well, it depends what tier you're looking at. With anything, with any product in the world, you know, trainers, video games, cars, you're going to get low quality stuff and high quality stuff. And the same is said of spirits, and the same is definitely true of soft drinks and mixers. And what we found was that most of the soft drinks and mixers on the market were made with extracted ingredients, not purely natural stuff. Okay. And when the spirits you're serving are really well made, using raw and natural ingredients, it kind of seemed weird to be mixing them with stuff that wasn't of such a high quality. You know, you've got a really tasty spirit, costs 40-50 quid a bottle, and then you're smothering it with, you know, essentially something that's not that far different to Schweppes or Coca-Cola, you know?
Yeah, it's like putting a pig in a mansion.
Exactly, man, exactly.
Yeah, I see what you mean, I see. So you've been doing this since 2013. What's the biggest thing you've learnt that you wish you knew when you started the business?
I think probably the biggest thing I've learnt is not to say yes to every opportunity, is to weigh things up. Not every opportunity is a good opportunity. And also be true to yourself and be true to your gut instincts, because no matter what you do in your life, if you've got this far, you've done a pretty good job just staying alive, you know what I mean? Yeah. And too often I've done things against my better judgment and they've turned out exactly as I thought in the back of my mind, i.e. not a good opportunity, or not, you know, as people will come to you and say, give us a better price and I guarantee we'll sell X amount a year. And you look at their business, you go, no, I don't really see how that's going to happen. But you know what? That's too good to be true. And if it's too good to be true, it just won't happen. Yeah, man. And that's something I've learned. And now, almost in a weird way, you sit back and you relax into it more, and you're less intense and less energetic about the business.
So do you actually have a bar where you store your drinks as well, or your own bar, or is it just like a warehouse and you ship it out?
So my business partner's got a bar and restaurant down on Bermondsey Street. He's got Flower and Grape, which is the restaurant, and 214's the gin bar underneath.
Okay.
And then I run the kind of soft drink side of the business. We've got a warehouse just off the old Kent Road.
Okay.
And that's where we ship out all of our tonic waters. We've got clients in Singapore, in France, Finland, Germany, and then people much closer to home, like your Ocado, you know, your online shops, Whole Foods, Honest Burger, places like that. So generally, you know, we work with kind of slightly higher end retail or independent bars and restaurants, really.
I hear you. That's good. Did it take you long to build your client base? Did they come to you? Did you have to go out to let people know who you are? Was it through word of mouth?
That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, really, is what we've built up to this point has been pretty much exclusively word of mouth and organic growth. We've not really spent anything on sales or marketing. It's almost just myself that runs the company. You know, we don't have a sales team. I've got someone that comes and helps with production, but apart from that, it's a really lean, independent, small word of mouth, organic growth, you know, kind of setup. And that meant really that we're sustainable. I think had we gone big, spent a load of money on marketing early doors, we wouldn't be here, man, because, you know, you make so many mistakes early on. And if your exposure is pretty high at those stages, then you'll just get completely eaten alive. Do you know what I mean? So we took it slow and steady, and now it's gradually kind of coming into its own, really.
It's like a house. When you build the foundations, the longer you leave that to cure before you build the structure, the more solid the house is.
Mate, that's so true. And this day and age, we live in that instant gratification world where everyone wants everything yesterday. And it's difficult not to fall into that trap. I find myself, you know, always now. But actually, just take your time on things and trust your instinct. And there's no need to rush, man, because it will be better if you form something quality.
Has there ever been a moment where you thought, this maybe is not for me?
Yeah, plenty of times. I mean, I think when you're doing something that you're passionate about, it makes the wins more exciting, but makes the losses harder to take.
How did you overcome that moment?
Time, I think. Again, taking a step back from that instant decision. There's several times where I thought, you know what, I'm ready to just sack it all in and go and get a job and not be my own boss. And it's easier that way sometimes. But take a few weeks off and just think about it, and you'll find your way, you'll find your path. About strength of mind, I do a lot of meditation, a lot of exercise, easing off the late nights as well, because, you know, they feel good at the time, but they can wreak havoc with you as well. So I think strength of mind is a really good focused way, and be positive as well, and realise that not every day is going to be a perfect day, but every day is relevant, even if it's a tough day. You know, the challenges are sometimes the better way to go.
I like that about the strength of mind. I have I'm an accountability partner for a friend who's invested in houses in America. He lives in America.
Oh, wow.
And he said he speaks to a lot of the old Jewish guys, and he said one of them said to him, "I'm going to give you a tip for free." He said, "You're at a party now. Make sure you leave by 11."
Yeah.
He said, as us, as Jewish people, we always leave by 11. We're home in bed with our families and we're ready for the next day. Regardless of what the circumstances, you get home. He said, and that kind of, if you're serious about business, that works.
Yeah.
If you're a person who feels the need to, you know, who's not really wholly committed, I can see how that would be an issue.
It's difficult as well, especially working in the alcohol industry, which is what we do largely. You know, although it's a soft drink, it is very much linked to alcohol. You know, you go to launch parties, or you go to bars and restaurants that you're stopped at, where you know the owners, you get friendly with them. It is difficult to have that strength of mind, particularly after a couple of drinks. And, you know, I'm still learning. There's the odd time.
I like the confessions now. I'm still learning.
You know, there is the odd time when you wake up and I just think, well, today's a write-off now. And did I get anything? But it's interesting you say that 11 o'clock, because that is about the right kind of time to call it a day. Because then between 11 and 3, if you're still hanging out, you know, do you remember anything really? I mean, was there anything that valuable that happened in those hours? You know, more often than not, pretty much never. There isn't, to be honest. So discipline's key, definitely. And yeah, I'll be the first to admit I haven't been disciplined at every juncture. But life's a rolling stone, isn't it? And you've just got to gather a bit of moss and a little bit of memory and understanding how to do things, I guess.
So what's the name of the company and where can they find you?
We are called Bermondsey Mixer Company, and if you go onto our website, bermondseymixer.co, you can find out all about our products, all about our bar as well, and check out where we're stocked and find out a little bit more about how we make our stuff. Okay,
so your website's called Bermondsey Mixer?
Yeah.
Do you want to spell that?
It's BERMONDSEYMIXER.co.
Thanks. And are you on any social media platforms?
Yeah, come and check us out on Instagram. Yeah, we've got a nice little following on there. We've always got a few giveaways and offers going on, so you might even be able to get a case of our stuff with a nice bottle of gin for free, man, if you like and subscribe. Okay. You know what I mean?
Is it exactly the same name on Instagram, or is it written differently?
Yeah, Bermondsey Mixer Co. Exactly. Yeah. Okay,
that's great. So moving on, obviously you're an avid runner. I run as well, being ex-military, just running around. So how's the world of running, and where's your most preferred? Are you running in marathons?
Oh man, I've run a couple of half marathons in the past. As I said to you before we jumped on, I've had a few knee issues, so I've just been trying to build my strength up.
Yeah.
And I went for a run yesterday, and I track my runs on an app, and it felt great.
What app do you use?
I use Runkeeper.
Okay, I use a night run.
Yeah. It's decent, man.
Yeah.
And I went out, and it was a good run, and it felt really positive. And I checked my time, and it wasn't that bad. And then I went back and looked at what I was doing 4 or 5 years ago, and it was nearly double the length.
We've all been there, mate.
I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I don't feel that old, but I mean,
well, how old are you?
On? I'm 32.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm feeling the pain there, obviously.
Yeah, you will, because once you start to hit your 30s, everything starts to, if you haven't really looked after yourself, it starts to manifest, especially if you've been pounding.
Yeah, man, and I've put on a bit of weight, not fat, but like I've bulked up a little bit. It's only 6 or 7 kilos, but I feel that when I'm out running. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
because of course you're carrying it. If I gave you a bag with 7 kilograms in, and so put it on your back, you'll be like, you know you're running with that.
That's a good shout.
But I always see running as something, so being an avid runner as well, I know I'm heavy, but I don't really run to beat any time. Most of my runs are now just kind of clearing your head. So I'm just going to run until I just don't feel like running anymore. I'm just going to run in one direction. And then, so when I get to that point I don't feel like running, now I have to do the work, so I've got to run back.
Yeah.
I stayed in Stratford, so it was that long run down there. There's an old railway line that's been made a nice walkway, and it goes far. I haven't even juggled. I need to get a scooter or a bicycle and cycle the whole route. Wow. It goes really far, probably down to the Thames, and but it kind of goes Dagenham, Barking and all that area, going that way.
All the way out to the estuary, right?
Yeah. And there's a canal that runs alongside, goes alongside as well. So quite a few canals. You know that all the canals, especially East London, all end up in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I had a mate who cycled along all the canals all the way out to Birmingham one time. That's something I want to do.
Cycling's great as well. That's something I've got into off the back of my friend recommending it. You know, as a replacement for running, because I can't go out more than 3 times a week pounding the pavements because my knee just won't take it. Whereas a bit of cycling, I mean, I've just moved to Surrey and it's beautiful around there, you know. It's absolutely stunning. You get on your bike and you just go, as you say, go in one direction until you stop, and then, as you say, work on the way back.
I used to live in Shirley, and at the end of the road there's a forest. It's a big forest. It's run off for about a mile or so, and then if you come out the forest, it's just open fields. So the forest is on a hill. So I found that I could just run for hours, sometimes do 2-3 hour runs, because the surface is never compacted.
Yeah.
And you're going up and down hills at times, so you're not putting any major pressure on your joints all the time continuously. So if you're running up, obviously it's different from going down. if you're stepping over things or around things, it's different. And that made a difference. There's actually 3 styles of running on flat ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's one where you're upright. There's one where you lean forward, and one where you kind of lean back, but your legs go up and your knees come up. You can Google it. I remember someone posted it on a WhatsApp group, and everybody was amazed because you didn't know. And depending on whether you're running like a sprinter, long distance, or mediocre, is the style that you should use. And obviously you got the different trainers. You got those gym trainers with the compressions, like the Nike 3.0s and all that. If I'm going to run on tarmac, I will wear them. Even though I know they're not built for that, they're built for the gym service. Because of that cushion, it's really protecting my joints, your knees, you see what I mean? But obviously if I'm running the forest, then I will start to wear something harder. I love the Salomon, there's a version of Salomon shoes with the grips that go around the side.
And that cushions your whole landing, won't it?
Yeah, well, it gives you the grip, and it comes up right up like onto the toe, onto the side of the toe, onto the heel. And it's it's great.
That's something I need to sort out. I looked at my running trainers yesterday, and they are covered in mud. I've had them for about 5 years. You can see my big toe out the top. I'm attached to them because I've done so much running in them.
But they're only good for, what is it, 1,000 miles or something? 1,000 kilometres, and then you're meant to discard them?
Yeah. I mean, just looking at them, I know that they need to go in the bin. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you can always give them to charity. Somebody else will just wear them somewhere else in the world for fashion or what have you, but just wash them up as well. If your big toe's hanging out, they might not wear
Hey, that might be fashionable in some parts.
Yeah. But, so moving on, PlayStation. You're a FIFA guy.
Admitted that,
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I find, me personally, I'm being an ex-military. I was playing Call of Duty, and I was like so impressed with this. And I was sitting there, and I was there this time the next day, and I said, "This is dangerous. It's dangerous because it will stop you from achieving what you're meant to be doing."
Agreed. And that all links back actually to. I love PlayStation as a decompressor, right? Just like I love watching cinema or reading a book.
Yeah.
You had a long day. You don't particularly want to engage with somebody. You just want some time on your own, not thinking about anything other than the film, the game, the book, whatever it is. But more than films or books, the PlayStation's designed to keep you on. It's designed to keep you playing.
There's no ending, really.
Exactly. These games these days are so expansive and there's so much going on that you can never finish it, really. So, and with these online tap-ons, you can play your mates at any hour of the day. You can play someone in Japan or in America.
Yeah, there's always a percentage of the planet awake playing the PlayStation. And you think about that seriously.
And you feel like part of a community, don't you, there? So you've got to have that strength of mind to say, I'm going to play for 90 minutes and then I'm going to call it a day.
I think I would stick to films or documentaries because there's a cut-off time.
Yes, yeah.
You've had your treat, there's a cut-off time, you go. Something where it's a bit like, to me it's like taking, I've never taken drugs, but I can imagine it's like taking coke. You're going down a rabbit hole that you might not come out of.
And you're always chasing that next high or that next moment. I spoke to my friend who runs the gym bar I mentioned, and he was obviously furloughed for 4 or 5 months.
PlayStation must have gone through the roof, innit?
Dude, he's in a relationship. He's just about to have a baby as well. He said he got this game called Red Dead Redemption, which is like it's a Western game. You're out in America in like the 1800s. I've played it. It's big. It's really impressive. He said he got up 9 a.m. and played for 14 hours a day for 2 months to complete it 100%. I mean, do the maths on that.
Think of how your wife is just going to be pissed.
Well, that's hundreds of hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
And kind of
think of what you could have achieved. They say if to become a professional or master at something, or is it professional?
10,000 hours.
Yeah, 10,000 hours. That's 1 hour a day for 10 years. Or you could condense it. Your mate probably condensed it.
He's an expert within 2 weeks.
And that stuff like that.
I buy into that though, that 10,000 hours thing. I think that's.
But actually, I heard another guy say it's 100 hours because he said what happens. The 10,000 hours is over a long period of time, but 100 hours means you understand it.
That's the difference between becoming an intermediate and an expert, I reckon.
Yeah, you understand it, you know, probably like learning times tables.
Yeah.
Things like that, in that respect of things, you know. But it's interesting, So, what's the impact you want to have on this world?
You know what? Everything's changed. We're having our first baby, and that's really made me think about that question, actually. Okay. And I don't just want to live a good life for me and my family. I want to show to my children, hopefully, that there's a better way out there, and stand up for what's right and actually be heard. And I'm not talking on a national, international scale, but be heard in my community, locally.
And in saying that, obviously you're a new father. One last question.
Yeah.
How would you feel about vaccinations? Would you want someone injecting your baby?
It's tricky, isn't it? I was having an argument with a friend about this the other day, and as a baby, I've been vaccinated against loads of things, you know, polio, tuberculosis, malaria, all that stuff.
Tried and tested things?
That's all tried and tested, exactly. Yeah. So there is a point at which you've got to question it. But do I want to live in the world that we're in right now for much longer? Not really. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's like being a caged animal, you know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, vaccinations. So you're saying you've had loads of vaccinations as a child. I will admit I'm not a fan of vaccinations. I certainly won't. Certain vaccinations, polio, typhoid, that's been, you know, something that's been tried and tested. It's had the 7 to 10 years testing that NHS virologist explained that it should have. But these rushed things, where their companies aren't accountable for the side effects.
Well, it's like the space race, isn't it, man? There's all these pharmaceutical companies that are racing to get a vaccination ready. And that vaccination, if it is commonly accepted to be the best, whatever that means, will make them hundreds of billions of pounds or dollars or whatever. I don't know if anything that important can be made effectively in such a short amount of time. I'm not a scientist, but I think it's good to question it, man. Because
I think we should have a rule that politicians and the pharmaceutical people get tested first.
Yeah.
After 10 years, we see if they're still around.
I think that's fair, man.
Because you make it, you take it, and then we know where we stand.
Well, it's those long-serving effects that are the worrying thing, isn't it? You know, you've no idea exactly 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Look, I think the logical way for it to work is the vulnerable, who are largely the elderly, maybe should have the vaccination. Up to them, obviously. I spoke to my gran the other day, she's 80, and she said, you know what, give it to me straight away. If there's any issues with it 10, 20 years down the line, I won't be here, so I'm not worried about that. She wants to live her life now, because she's been stuck inside, isolated for 8 months.
My old thing I'd ask this is, there's a couple of things. The alternative could be just building up people's immune systems rather than vaccinating them. Because if you build up people's immune system through the right food products and removing all the bad crap that we put in food today, or big farming companies put in there, then we'll probably get a lot healthier people, stronger immune system. And the other thing is, it's like, I spoke to a doctor the other day. He worked in St George's in Tooting, and he was telling me about the debate they were having as doctors about this whole thing. And he said, well, out of every 100 people who get COVID, only 4 die. And he said he guarantees you 4 always have underlying sicknesses.
Yeah.
And he said, that's not a lot of people to die.
It's not a lot, is it?
And he says there's many other diseases or other things that we should be really concerned about if we're going to be shutting down and closing down economies. And he said also, you've got to accept that we're not meant to live forever. So, and that's
I think that's the only time I agreed with Boris when he came out and said, "Listen, you're gonna have to accept that some people are gonna die. We got to get on with this."
Yeah.
Obviously, the weaker ones or the people who don't like to deal with death or can't, went up in arms because they only want to hear everything positive. But it's like taxes and deaths are something you're always going to end up, you can't avoid.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my concern. And then also when you hear those pharmaceutical companies and they've done major vaccination things in various places in Africa and Asia, and there've been deformities and constant bleeding for girls and all these other things, and that all gets brushed under the carpet. You're like, really? These are the people you're trusting? Yeah. And they fund, big business funds politics.
Oh yeah, I mean that's.
So that's like, really, Julie? If I'm certain things, I'm very socialist, and I believe all healthcare, including the creation of medicines, should be run by the government, and it's non-profit.
Yeah, but if the government is set up like it is now in this country, the government is run like a business.
Yeah.
And therefore, they should not control pharmaceuticals, they should not control vaccinations, they should not control any of that, because if it's a business, then it's all about profit and it's all about making money.
That's why I say non-profit. If it's just what it's meant to be, if it's not, the government's not meant to be making money, and it's only the money that's created goes into research and all the other things, then we're much better off.
I was saying to my fiance this morning on the way in, like, it's almost inevitable now that we will have higher taxes come April next year. I mean, that's just going to happen. I have no issue with taxes. I think taxes, when they're spent right, are completely the right thing to have. It's a way that everyone contributes to the economy and to, relatively safe, clean, nice area to live. But if my taxes go up because of the last 8 months, do I feel like they've been well spent? Initially, yes, but now, no. I mean, I don't at all. I think it's been an absolute cluster disaster.
And the politicians have given themselves a pay rise. 3.5 grand each.
Doesn't surprise me.
That's 600 people, 3.5 grand each.
Doesn't surprise me.
For what? And you don't pay, and you get expenses allowance anyway.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself. And then you look at politics in general, where they, like Boris gave out all the big contracts for the development of East London to his banker friends. Why would you give it to banker friends and they don't know anything about construction?
Well, did you see that there was this contract for plastic vials, that are basically going to be used to transport medicine? Basic plastic production, it's not the most complex thing, but Matt Hancock gave the contract to the landlord of his old local pub on a WhatsApp message. I mean, if that is how the country's being run, by mates who are texting the landlord of their pub on WhatsApp, then
And there's going to be a back channel on that, isn't it?
I mean, what is going on? At the end of the day, it's not the most important contract, it's just plastic, right?
No, but still, you're giving it to the landlord, and he's a landlord, so where's he? He has got no experience in building plastic vials. He's got to go and sort all this out and do all these things, and you're just like,
But going back to vaccinations, right?
Yeah.
There's this beautiful quote in Jurassic Park, and I know Jurassic Park.
I know what you're going to say.
The trash film, but it's good for a number of reasons.
Go on.
You spent all this time figuring out whether you could. You didn't think about whether you should.
Yeah.
You can apply that to so many things, but I feel like right now there's so many knee-jerk reactions going on that no one's really spending the time. And this goes back to what I was saying about running a business. Sometimes time, although it doesn't feel good, is what you need. You need to sit back and sleep on it, or think about something, proactively think.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of thinking going on in the world at the moment. There's just a lot of reaction. You see it on Twitter, you see it on Facebook, you see it in the way the governments are run, you see it in elections, in Brexit, in America. It's just, no one's thinking anymore. Everyone just thinks you need to know immediately what the answer is. But we're just human, we're just animals at the end of the day.
So what Elon Musk is doing, the second richest man in the world, when he's putting chips in pigs' brains and human brains to read their neurological readings, which they don't understand, they're just getting the data and trying to work out how to read it later on. What do you think of that?
Well, he's like a
A
James Bond villain, isn't he?
He's a mad scientist. I don't know, would you say he's a villain? Because the Tesla car has been a godsend.
Yeah, but I don't know, you go back and watch some of those early James Bond films, and the villain is always someone who's trying to do good, but then suddenly something goes wrong. A little bit like
you mean he's coming up behind Bill Gates? Yeah. He's on the way behind Bill Gates. Okay.
But yeah, I was speaking to a friend about this the other day. When technology gets to the point that you have to have a chip installed to enjoy it, I mean, if you're saying yes to that...
All right, then think of this now, and this comes back to vaccinations. They say the only way to prove who's got a vaccination done is to put a chip in them. That's the words of Bill Gates. Now, do you want a chip in you?
No way. But I will say this, I can see you've got 2 smartphones on your dashboard.
Yeah.
I've got one in my pocket right now.
Yeah, but I've got the ability to turn that off.
We are only one step away from having a chip inside us.
Don't get me wrong, I understand that, because it's like people say, I don't want the government to see me or watch me. And I say, listen, if you live in England, the government knows everything about you already, because you go to the dentist for free, or depending on who you are, hospitals for free. There's so many services that you access, public, and they have your data. So there's no problem in that respect of things. So they know about you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so there's something where but there is a line for me. There's a line. I think for many people, also crime, if you had a chip in, everybody had a chip in them, then it'd be very easy to tell who was there and all those kind of things. But that's a bit like we're coming to Minority Report world.
Another great film.
You were there. I wasn't there. Where you were? Well, I didn't know what was happening. I was at the other end of the street. Doesn't matter. You're going to jail.
At the end of the day, though, do I feel concerned that I've got anything to hide? Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, but the concept.
It's privacy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because God forbid, and I say God forbid, you were a man who had a mistress, and the police said you were somewhere, said to your wife you were somewhere because they could see your chip, or someone developed software where you can see where your husband is all the time.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So much issues it causes.
But we are welcoming in this technology with open arms. I've got an Alexa at home. It listens to everything we say. I don't care what people say about that. It is listening.
Yeah, of course.
It understands what's going on.
Many a time I'm talking to somebody and then the phone goes, "We cannot find."
Yeah.
So,
I'm being tracked right now with a phone in my pocket. Again, I've got nothing to hide. But I think there will be a rejection of technology actually coming up, because it's come so hard, so fast. It goes back to that Jurassic Park quote. No one's really thought about whether we really need it. Yeah, it makes things a bit easier, but ultimately, has it made things better? I'm not sure. Ultimately, we're just animals that should live in small communities. It's a strange world we've created for ourselves.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, so you're in 2 minds. So the long and short of it, you're in 2 minds when it comes to this vaccination for your child. Well, would you want someone to put a chip in your child? Probably kind of useful as a parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Billy, you're not home yet. Oh, we're in school. No, you're not in detention.
Look,
come on, leave the park.
I think a vaccination for a child for coronavirus, no. I mean, a child isn't at risk for coronavirus, so no, not until anything's been proven.
And also, you want the immune system to build up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think not definitively, but pretty much no. I would not get my child vaccinated.
All right. Well, that's interesting. They talk about bullying people to get it done. If you travel, you want to go in a workplace, you want to hit the gym, all these kind of things. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, certainly interesting. We're at the bar. Look at that.
Yes, we are. Oh, this is it here.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay, so I've dropped off people here before.
This is the birth of the tonic water, just in those four walls right there.
Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
and
dude, it's good to chat, man.
Great interview.
We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.